Here's Johnny.
Take your stinking paws off me.
Be cool. Be cool.
You fools! You're in danger! He's alive! He's alive! Wait, 21 gigawatts! Hallelujah! Holy shit! You follow me this?
Jack, Bert, me.
We're pretty good to run, girly boy. Stop it!
What's up, cinema freaks, and welcome back to the Lucid Nightmare. I'm your host, as always, Jay Schatzer, and today I'm going to be bringing you some George Romero greatness, the Pittsburgh filmmaker that hit the big time with Night of the Living Dead, the greatest zombie film ever made. But let's jump right in and get into this great collection update. First up is The Night of the Living Dead. And this is my Criterion edition, the release that came out in 2018. Great edition. I've been waiting a long time for it. And Criterion did an excellent job with this classic black and white zombie flick. And if you haven't seen this before and for some reason just skipped it because it's an older flick, you're really doing yourself a disservice, because this is an amazing film and a great show of George Romero's talents. Really great flick. Check it out and get this edition, the 4K restoration. Great flick. If you don't know what it's about, a bunch of people are trapped in a farmhouse, zombies are everywhere, they have to survive. That's all you really need to know, and I don't even know how you went through life not hearing this film. But we're gonna throw this one up here and go on to the next one, keep this thing moving. Next up is an interesting little flick that George Romero did. It is Season of the Witch. And I don't know if there's a lot of fans out there of this one, but I really like it. I dug it when I had it on DVD a long time ago and upgraded it recently to the Arrow release. And it's really a great flick. It's not full-out horror, it's more kind of just surreal drama. This housewife who's just kind of bored with her life and she starts dabbling in the occult and into witchcraft. And it's just really a really interesting flick, very intimate, very low-key, but very stylish. And I love the Donovan song, the Season of the Witch, that plays throughout it, and just a great release by Arrow in general. They did a few of George Romero's earlier works, and they restored this one in 4K. Great pickup. I suggest, if you even slightly are interested in this flick or just want to check it out, or just a fan, grab this edition. Really great stuff. And it's actually going pretty cheap on Amazon. At least it was when I bought it last year. So let's move on to the next one. Another Arrow release. And this is The Crazies. Another great early Romero flick. Just, it's got a hint of zombie movies in it, where people in a town are kind of just trying to survive, but instead of being undead, the people just start going batshit crazy from a government virus or chemical that they drop accidentally on a town in Pennsylvania. But it's got that same vibe as his zombie efforts, is that just a ragtag group of people trying to survive amidst chaos. But it's really great. It's got some genre regulars, like Lynn Lowry is in it. You might have seen her in different things like I Drink Your Blood, which is another great flick that I want to upgrade to Blu-ray. And it's just really cool. So if you haven't checked it out, see it, because I recommend it. I think it's great. It's probably up there with some of my favorites of George Romero's. But give it a go. How can you go wrong with George Romero? But let's get to the next one. This one, I'm not sure if there's Blu-ray out there of this one, but I have the DVD version of Martin. This one's another great flick by George Romero. It's not what he's known for, being like a zombie flick. It's more of a strange intimate tale of a young man who believes he's a vampire and that he has to feed on people. But he doesn't just like bite their necks and stuff. He kind of like uses syringes and razor blades and just different things like that. It's a more modern take on vampires, but it's very, very, very strange, and it has that Pittsburgh feel that all of his flicks have. It just, I can't describe it. It just has a certain atmosphere to it that not many films have matched or even tried to take on, but it's a style of his own and one that I absolutely love. But you should check this one out. I wouldn't say check it out if you like vampire movies, because it's really just an unorthodox approach to that kind of material. But just check it out if you like strange, bizarre cinema. It's really cool, it's original, it's got a voice of its own. And just check it out. Really good stuff. But up next is back to Romero's zombie flicks. It is Dawn of the Dead. And I unfortunately did not pick up the Blu-ray before it skyrocketed to $200 or so. But I do have this awesome kind of like box set, the Ultimate Edition that came out a long time ago. It's got like a ridiculous amount of extras on it and a whole bunch of like 4 different versions of the film. Like, I don't really need that many versions of the film, but they have a Dario Argento cut that's mostly just sticks to the gore and zombie parts, and then a theatrical, director's cut. I mean, I don't even know what I prefer out of all these cuts. All I know is this movie's badass, and I need to get it on Blu-ray. I hope that someday they decide to reissue that Blu-ray, because I'd really like to add it to the collection, since it is probably one of my favorites of George Romero. One of my favorites. I think, I don't know, Day of the Dead comes close, the original Night of the Living Dead. I mean, there's too many to count of what I like. But that is Dawn of the Dead, a great film that continues his zombie series of people trying to survive in a zombie apocalypse. But let's move on to something totally out of left field, and one that I actually reviewed sometime last year. And that is Night Riders. And as you can tell from the cover, this is one weird, strange, and unusual flick. Something that you will not see anywhere else but from George Romero's warped mind. It centers around a Renaissance fair troupe that rides around on motorcycles, does jousting, and just different things like that. And it's about their trials and tribulations as a group, like coming apart, having fights, seeking, half of them want to seek fame, half of them are just happy with the life at the fair. And for some reason, it's very, very engaging and just insanely interesting. I don't know how to explain it other than it's just one of George Romero's skills is to make content that you wouldn't think be interesting into something compelling. And it just really is great. Ed Harris is in the starring role. Pew! Right there. Oh crap, right there. But he's awesome in it. He spazzes out all the time. He's just a total psychotic in this movie. But it's a great flick. If you haven't seen it or just curious, just check out the review for a little bit just to see how the visuals are. It's just a fun film. Fun film with a lot of story, a lot of depth, a lot of characters, and a lot of heart. A lot of heart. But let's move on to the next one. The next is a collaborative effort between George Romero and Stephen King. And it's their anthology series, well, the first flick of the anthology series. It is Creepshow! Now this one is just a lot of fun. I believe there are 3 stories in it, and each story is entertaining as all hell. I believe I reviewed this one, and I reviewed Creepshow 2, which George Romero didn't direct. But check those ones out if you're interested in these ones, and if you like anthology films, because this is one of the best ones. It's got a great collection of stories, a lot of great characters. Hal Holbrook's in it, Adrienne Barbeau, Leslie Nielsen, Ted Danson, and even Stephen King shows up as a country bumpkin who finds a alien substance that starts growing on him. It's a very interesting short. just like all the other ones. But yeah, definitely check this one out if you like anthology flicks. And if you're a fan of George Romero and want to see some of his efforts with other directors and writers. So give that one a look. Great, fun time for anyone who loves just funny, creepy horror stories. But on to the next flick. It is Day of the Dead. And this one is right up there with one of my favorites. I don't know what it is about this flick. I don't know if it's the characters, you know, the cast that is in it, the overall story and how grim it is, the special effects by Tom Savini. It's just really a complete presentation of George Romero's kind of Dead world. Really great stuff. There's so many great moments, so many just great qualities to this flick that if you, for some reason, haven't checked it out, check it out because it's one of my favorites. When it was first released, it didn't do too well. And not a lot of people liked it, but it's kind of fallen into that cult classic status where everyone kind of has fond memories of the film now. And there's Bub, the zombie, the lovable zombie that will warm your heart. But yeah, check this one out, one of my favorites. It's a great addition, nothing too special, Stars put it out, but that's all we got and that's all I'm going to go with. But let's move on to the next one. And it is another anthology, but this time George Romero combined his amazing efforts with the Italian master Dario Argento for Two Evil Eyes. And this one is a great kind of collaborative effort that really brings a lot of great actors into the fold and just gives some great Edgar Allan Poe style stories. I believe they're all inspired by it, and they kind of overlap, but it's just really, really interesting. And it's one that I don't know if I watched this one recently. I can't remember if I actually reviewed this, so I'll have to check that out because I'd like to put that out there to see what people think of the flick, because it really is cool. It's got a great cast. Harvey Keitel, Tom Atkins even shows up. Who else is in there? Oh, even Adrienne Barbeau shows up again. I mean, she's in everything in these ones, but these anthology flicks. But check this one out if you like Edgar Allan Poe or any of his works, because this really captures a good kind of demented evil style to it, because it's got that Italian kind of gore side of things. So check that one out if you like anthology flicks, or if you just like Edgar Allan Poe style cinema. But next is a newer George Romero flick, and this one kind of came and went like a fart in the wind because nobody talks about it, and it's actually a pretty decent flick, not on par with his, you know, earlier stuff, but just like Dario Argento or just any of those kind of filmmakers, they kind of just wane in their ending years and kind of just fizzle out. But this flick is Bruiser. And it's just an interesting flick because it's more of a slasher style kind of psychological thriller, almost like in the mind of a serial killer. So like I remember it kind of being shades of like American Psycho with Maniac, with just all kinds of those kind of films, because the main character his reality kind of blurs. He imagines things up, and you don't know if they're happening for real or if he's just kind of going through the motions in his head. But it's got a lot of cool imagery, like you can tell from the cover there. His mask, when he's like going on a killing spree, is just this kind of white, emotionless mask. It's really, really cool and creepy. And the general feel of the film is just kind of surreal, dreamlike. So it kind of takes those elements from Italian cinema, from the 80s, early 90s kind of thing, and kind of goes with it on a kind of strange slasher level. But Bruiser's a great flick, fun to watch. Probably going to watch it again because it's been a long, long time since I watched it, probably in the early 2000s. So I will check that one out again and see what I think, if it still holds up. I believe it will, because I didn't really have that high memories of it, but I remember it was just a general greatly entertaining flick. But next is George Romero's journey back into the zombie world. and that is Land of the Dead. Now, a lot of people are kind of mixed with this film. You either love it or you hate it. I generally fall on the side of loving it because, for me, the film is, its biggest strength is its characters. I just love the characters that he kind of takes time with, builds up. And, I mean, from both sides. You got the heroes and you've got the villains. And they all are fleshed out, interesting, likable. Even the bad guys are likable. And there's just some funny moments in it, the film, that stick with you. Like Dennis Hopper's character, he does this totally dick move where he's trying to steal money, and he's just kind of like, you got to see it to believe it, because it's just, I remember seeing it in theaters and just laughing my ass off with my friends. But Land of the Dead is a great flick. John Leguizamo does good in it. The lead character, I don't believe what his name is, but the lead hero is good. Even Asia Argento shows up and kicks all kinds of ass and looks hot as hell, so that's a plus. So Land of the Dead, fun, not on par with his original trilogy, but damn entertaining and a great addition to his overall collection. So I'm not embarrassed of Land of the Dead. Maybe I'll be embarrassed of his other movies, like the one coming up next, which I'm embarrassed I even have it, but I'm a completist. Let's just get this damn thing over with. Diary of the Dead. Total shit. I gave this one a redemption. I tried to watch it again and watch it with a pair of new eyes. Give it a chance. Early 2018, I watched it again. I can't explain how shitty this movie is. Just amateurish, horrible acting, horrible characters, stupid situations. It was like a student film with a slight budget. I can't explain how dumb this movie is. I'm embarrassed even wasting time talking about it right now, but if you want to give it a chance for yourself, good luck, because I totally went in with fresh eyes trying to give it a chance. I felt insulted by the end of the movie. I was so pissed off. But that's Diary of the Dead. A great flick. But next is another of his stabs at bringing the Dead franchise back to life. This one isn't as bad as Diary of the Dead. At least has some competency to it. But that film is Survival of the Dead. And it's entertaining at best. Characters are so-so. None of them stuck with me like the original cast or even from Land of the Dead. It's a mixed bag because, I mean, there's somewhat decent effects, but then it's ruined by CGI blood, you know, and CGI effects. It's just... And the story isn't even that interesting. It's a Hatfield-McCoy's kind of two families warring against each other in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. I mean, it's decent enough, but it's just nothing to write home about. But it's not terrible like Diary of the Dead, so I guess I give it a pass for that. That alone was refreshing to see that it didn't suck as bad as Diary of the Dead. But unfortunately, that is my George Romero collection. So we have reached the end of this video. But hopefully you got something out of that one. Saw some earlier Romero stuff that you might want to check out for yourself. And just enjoyed the video in general. But guys, that is it for me today. And I will see you all at the next movie review or collection update. So take care, and I'll see you next time. See you guys.